This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. ESPN done made y'all mad again. There was a clip that a lot of people sent me, wanted me to react to, so let's get into it. The clip, from what I can tell, is about ranking the best fan bases in the NFL. This is something I don't like doing because you're always going to think your fan base is the best fan base, and there's really no metric that determines what fan base is the best. I really think it comes down to two things. There are two tiers when it comes to fan bases. There are good ones. There are bad ones. How they rank within that, I think highly irrelevant. Do you have a fan base that shows up to your team's games, that supports your team, or do you have a fan base that is wholly indifferent about your franchise? Those are the only two categories I think matter. And when it comes to the NFL is so popular that I don't think any fan base is completely checked out of their team. I think everybody cares about their NFL team, varying levels of dedication, but I don't want to play the "we love our team more" game. So I'm very interested to see where this clip goes and why so many people wanted me to react to this. But let's get into it. It's from the Unsportsmanlike Show on ESPNU.
Here's the objection.
Any objections, any omissions?
I have a major objection and a major omission on this list.
May I guess?
Okay, what's the objection?
Well, here's the objection. The Cleveland Browns fans are the single best fans in the entire league. There is no fan base that is better than the Cleveland Brown fan. The Cleveland Brown fan had their team removed from their city and still somehow supported the team that when they came back, they were selling out every single game.
But if the fans were so good, then why did the team leave Cleveland?
Oh, no,
initially?
we're not going to do that because that doesn't have anything to do with it a lot of the time. It's about money. It's about greed.
Thank you.
But that wasn't the case the first time when the Browns left. That wasn't the case.
But, okay.
I see why y'all wanted me to talk about this. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, Christopher. Now, I will start this by saying everybody is not required to know the inner workings of why the Browns and the Baltimore Ravens have this weird intertwined history. And the further we get away from it, the more situations like this are going to pop up. But somebody in my life that I love dearly gave me some very wise advice. And it's advice that I take seriously to this day. And that advice was very simple advice. It's okay to admit that you just don't know some shit. Like, it's fine. I promise you, people going to still rock with you if you don't know everything. Honestly, some people appreciate somebody who does not act like they know everything. And we all love to be on the internet. The internet has a way of making us all know-it-alls. I understand. Maybe I come off as a know-it-all to you. I'm working on it. But this is a prime example of a time where you can just simply say, hey, I'm not sure about what led up to that. So maybe I'm just wrong here. Go on. Continue with your point. There's no need for me to interrupt and interject some shit I clearly don't know. Like, yeah, that's my first thing with Mr. Canty. I don't think he's a jerk or he was sent by the Art Modell family to slander the Cleveland Browns. I think Chris Canty legitimately just doesn't know what he's talking about. But since he has been on TV for so long, and since when you're on TV, you are conditioned to be somewhat of a know-it-all, he can't simply just say, yeah, dog, I don't know about that one. I'm going to just shut up and listen. Nah, he got to interject and throw in some information that he is clearly not sure about. Again, a nice reminder passed down from somebody to me, from me to you. It's okay to just admit that you don't know. Ain't no problem with that. How many times have you tried to prove that you know something while you trying to actively Google it like you know it? You don't know. You don't know a damn thing. It's okay, dog. It's okay. I promise you it's okay. You don't know. Chris, first thing first, you don't know why the Browns moved out of Cleveland? It's okay, dog. You just don't know. Just say that. Honestly, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. What do you mean? Why are you interjecting right here? There's no reason for Chris Canty to interject because he don't know. Now, let's talk about why the Cleveland Browns moved from Cleveland to Baltimore and then got their name changed from the Browns to the Ravens, and then the rights and history went to Cleveland. It's a complicated thing. I can't explain it in this one video. There are plenty of great videos on the internet that will walk you through it, made by people who lived through it in Cleveland. A ton of people who, some of them even watch these videos, have done great work documenting that whole thing. Cleveland 95 is a great documentary that you can go to kind of walk through that and even get a perspective of what the Modell family was thinking at the time. So the long story short, the Spark Notes version of it is Art Modell was not a great businessman. Art Modell was not rich like NFL owners are rich today. He was just rich enough to buy an NFL team in the 60s. Now, the NFL was not the most popular thing in the world in the 60s. So buying a team, it wasn't like you didn't have to own Apple to buy a football team like you do now. You could just like own a local advertising business and have enough money to buy the Cleveland Browns or get enough investor money or loan money to buy a controlling interest in the Cleveland Browns. It was not the most difficult thing to do in the 60s when Art Modell bought into the Cleveland Browns. Art Modell has never been known as a great businessman, and his failings as a businessman led him to get into money troubles consistently with the Cleveland Browns, despite the fact that the Cleveland Browns had some of the strongest attendance numbers in the NFL. This led to a situation in 1995 where he defaulted or got bankrupt. I'm not 100% sure on those details. Refer to Cleveland 95 or do your own research on the subject. Look at the Wikipedia to get the exact details. But he signed Andre Rison to a contract that he did not have enough money to sign Andre Rison for, which meant that Art Modell was not regular people broke, but he was rich people broke, which means he was defaulted on his lines of credit and he was close to going bankrupt. He needed cash. So one of the ways that he wanted to get cash was by having the city foot the bill for stadium renovations or a new stadium. He could not get the deal from the city that he wanted, so he went to Baltimore to get the money and the deal that he wanted and needed to stay afloat. And that's how the Browns moved to Baltimore. This had nothing to do with Cleveland Browns attendance numbers. Again, the Browns were, what, the year before the team moved, they were a playoff team. They had extremely high attendance numbers. This had everything to do with behind the scenes politics and financial issues experienced by the owners and nothing to do with the actual good people who supported this team. Now, you might ask, Quincy, why do you feel the need to explain this every time it comes up? The reason I feel the need to explain this is because I am almost 30, but I was born in 1995, which means the main crop of people who now talk about this, who now experience this, did not live through the team being sold, which means we are at a dangerous point to where the history of what actually happened can be corrupted by bad information. I think it's important, especially for the younger people who do this, to make sure that they speak up anytime something is misspoken about that situation, because that's how you make sure the record is accurate. If we say nothing, especially the younger people, then the people from Baltimore or the Modell family get to dictate what they want to be the truth about that situation. They can hide the documentaries, not hide the documentaries, but they can brush those off and just say, oh, well, the Browns didn't show up, right? It's impossible to get away with now because the people covering the league are still people who lived through and actually covered that time. So they can say, no, that's wrong. But the older I get, the more and more people who cover the league are my age. The more and more we're removed from people who have actual experience with what happened, which means less people are going to know the actual history, which means that history is in danger of being corrupted because there's going to be less and less firsthand accounts, which means it's more important for those of us who are younger and want to have a career in media or want to talk about Cleveland sports to learn that history, to keep the truth alive about what happened. Because if we let people change the narrative to the Cleveland people didn't support the Cleveland Browns, it becomes easier for people to screw us. Because what if Jimmy Haslam sells the team in 20 years? And the story is, well, the Browns fans didn't show up in 95, and now Jimmy's claiming they ain't show up, and now it's just, oh, Cleveland's not a good market for a football team. It sounds ridiculous right now, but who knows what can be sold as the truth in a generation or two. And that is what you want to make sure does not happen. You don't want to see the San Antonio Browns because people bought into a myth that the team got shut down in 95 because nobody showed up. You don't want to have this team suddenly have a history of fans that don't support it. That's not the truth. It's not only disrespectful to the city because the people in the city did everything that they could to keep that team in Cleveland. The fans, I'm talking about the people who actually showed up to the game. I'm not talking about the politicians or the people behind the scenes. I don't know if they did enough. I'm pretty sure they didn't. But the people who showed up week in and week out, they did what they were supposed to do. They showed up, they bought the merch, they barked, they were there. The Browns have never had an issue with attendance or people paying for tickets, at least. Showing up at the games, that might be a different story, but them tickets are sold. So that's why I always feel it appropriate to correct the record whenever somebody misspeaks like this, especially on as large of a platform as ESPN, because we are at a point to where the people talking about this now are not the people who lived through this. You got to protect the history when you get to that point because it's so easy for people to corrupt it. So easy for people to corrupt it and flip it and turn it into something it wasn't. You have to really be kind of militant about it. And that's why I am so serious about this anytime it comes up. This is Cleveland history. This is Browns history. It's something important to the city, the culture of the city, and where I'm from. And that means that I'm going to be super serious about anybody trying to change what that means, especially somebody who's not Cleveland, right? Like Chris Canty was never a Cleveland player. He don't know nothing about no Cleveland. He never been in no Cleveland. Like he not Cleveland at all. So like him trying to change that record, I know he ain't doing it intentionally, but again, man, this is exactly why it's 100% okay to just admit that you don't know what you talking about.
That wasn't the situation.
Any way you cut it, though, they come back. They go 1-31 over the course of 2 seasons. There are things that have happened with that franchise that you can't even fathom. The owner of the team claimed to get advice on who to draft from a homeless person on the side of the road. That is not a made-up story. That is true. They have had more quarterbacks than you can imagine. They have had more failed draft picks than you can imagine. They've made more bad moves than you can imagine. And this fan base is so loyal to that team. They show up to every game. They talk about it year-round on ESPN Cleveland, and they absolutely love their team in a way that I have never.
Talk about it year-round on YouTube too, buddy. All right? All right? All right. All right. I liked everything else you're saying. You know. Ain't just ESPN Cleveland doing this shit. You know, Ken Carmen be out here too. You know, she give a shout out to. We do it year round in this city. Okay, everybody does.
Ever seen? I've never seen a fan base love one team more than they love the Cleveland Browns. And there is not, over the course of time, there is now, but there has not been a lot to love. And they still absolutely love them. They are, I've lived in New York the majority of my life. They're way better fans than the Jets fans. Way better fans. The Steelers fans, it is easy to be a Steeler fan. Very easy to be a Steeler fan. First-class organization for the entirety of the time that we have all been alive with the Rooney family. They've had Bill Cowher into Mike Tomlin. Not very hard to be a Steelers fan. Okay. It has been really hard to be a Cleveland Browns fan, and they never leave their team. Think the Browns fans should be on that list?
I didn't say the Browns didn't have good fans. I just think that Michelle nailed the top 5.
I think the Browns are the. I'll go.
Who's intimidated by the Browns fans?
Hold on.
I mean, they're wearing dog masks. What are we doing? Come on.
I believe Browns fans are actually the best fans in all of sports, not just football.
Show me the dork that said that. You dork. Show me the dork that said that, you producer hiding behind the glass. Show me the dork that said that, who's afraid of the Browns. Hey, come to Cleveland. Come to a Browns game and be a part of the opposing fan base. And tell me you ain't intimidated, dog. What? See, y'all be playing with the Browns, man. They be playing with Cleveland. Like, this is why I tell people all the time. Some people get it in their head that Cleveland is like Minnesota, that we are this nice, happy, Midwestern city that's going to show you nothing but good manners and grace. And we really Philadelphia, but angrier. Like, what you mean it's not intimidating? Yeah, okay. Show up to a game. Tell me you're not intimidated. Show up. Pull up to a Browns game right now. And don't wait till we move to the suburbs. Pull up while they on that lake still. Come on, do it. Do it. Tell me it's not intimidating. Yeah, come on, man. What dork said that? They're wearing dog masks. Come on now. But really, dog, show your face next time. You dork. You geek. I've been recording way too many videos because I am goofy right now.
All right, let's not get crazy.
I do.
What's the logic behind it?
There's no fan base that has experienced worse
My
times
dog,
than that
he
fan
just
base,
explained the logic for 3 minutes straight. Did you not listen, Christopher Canty? But meanwhile, Christopher Canty's too busy interjecting on shit he don't even know about.
Their team was removed. They went 1-31 over 2 years.
Their team was removed because of the lack of interest from the fans.
I don't buy.
Chris Canty, again, you don't know what you're talking about, brother. You're just saying shit. You're just saying shit. What do you mean? Hey, man, my guy spent 3 minutes, and this is just disrespectful to the guy you talking to, by the way, Christopher. You know, I'm just going to point that one out, too. My guy spent 3 minutes talking about how the Browns have supported this team through example after example after example, and all you got, almost cursed, all you got is, they didn't show up, that's why the team left. What? And that's not even true. That's not even true. My man spent 3 minutes of facts. Full facts. But facts nonetheless to support his argument. And you got one lie that you're shouting loudly. Oh my God. This is a Twitter conversation caught on video. It's historic. Yeah, but Chris Canty, man. Again, best advice I've ever gotten. And the best advice that I try to imply every day. Hey, dog, sometimes it's cool to say, I don't know. It'll change your life, brother. It'll change your... Just say it with me. I don't know. But I appreciate what you said. Just hey, man, I don't agree. But I don't know if that's why the team left. I appreciate what you said. And again, it's very important that we don't let loud, uninformed people like Christopher Canty dictate what the history is for why the Browns had the situation that they had in 1995. Because if we let people like Christopher Canty be the only people speaking on it, and the people who lived through it aren't actively talking about the Browns or aren't around anymore, then that becomes canon. That dumb version of events that Chris Canty just blasted out of his mouth with no information backing it up at all. That becomes what happened in 1995. And some of you guys who lived through it will find that ideal kind of ridiculous. But Talk to anybody who was born in like 2005 and ask them what happened between the Browns and the Ravens, and their answer will shock you. Like, that is the first thing I noticed when I was on YouTube. Man, a lot of people don't understand why the Browns and the Ravens have this intertwined history. So many people don't understand it. So many people still think that the Baltimore Ravens are the original Browns. Like, they don't get it, especially on the Baltimore side of things. Cleveland, there's a little bit more education going on there because obviously, but the Baltimore side of things, they don't know they don't know anything about that. They just know they got a team in 96. It's important that we teach this history. And it's also important when a topic comes up that is history and you don't know the full history behind it. You're not confident enough to speak on the history, to cite a reference or to cite an example. If you're not confident enough to say that about something that's historical, you just got to admit that you don't know what you're talking about. Like, get out the way. Let the people who do know talk. But there's no reason to be loud, misinformed, and wrong. Just ignorant. It's just ignorant shit right here. Chris Canty can do better. But honestly, this is an example for some of us to recognize, because we might do this. Hell, I've done this before. Speak loudly about some shit I don't know about because I just want it to look right. I don't really do that on here. But, you know, I've done it in my personal life. And again, some of the best advice I got. It's okay to just admit you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And Chris Canty, it's okay, dog. You don't know what you're talking about. Just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Why are you yelling about some stuff you don't even know? You can't even confirm. And you're doing it on national TV. Now you just look like a mess. Look ignorant. And now you're going to get mad when people pull this clip, tear you to shreds on it, and you're going to feel like the city of Cleveland is attacking you. And now you're going to spend the whole season mad at people from Cleveland because they called you out on your bullshit. Why? When all you could have done to avoid all of this was say, hey, dog, I don't know. I played football. I didn't study the history of football. I don't know. And just leave it at that. Like, I don't know why it's so hard for dudes to just admit they don't know what they're talking about. I promise you, it takes a weight off your shoulder once you realize you don't have to know everything, man. Like, it's okay. It's okay. I get questions every day about the Browns where I'm like, I don't know. And it's my job. But it's okay. I don't know the answer to that. I'd be doing y'all a disservice if I acted like I knew an answer to some shit I don't know. And Chris, that's just my advice to you. Next time you don't know what you're talking about, man, just ain't got to say it.